Metal, and I'm going to be here on audio today with the amazing Cammie Beverly of of Slumber to discuss their upcoming album, Where Gods Fear to Speak, coming out September 13th. This time it's going to be via Seasons of Mist. Cammie, thank you for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Nice to speak with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So how have you been since we last saw each other? I think it was last April at the Brooklyn Monarch with Moonspell.
Doing really good. That was such a great tour, and it was a lot of fun hanging out with Fernando. As you know, it led to other
Yeah,
awesome things with him and the new album, and so we're doing well. We've
for, for sure.
traveled
That's awesome.
quite extensively since then and done even more.
Cool, cool, cool. That's great. So before we get started talking about the album and all of that, I just wanted to quickly ask, what have you been listening to lately?
I've been listening to a lot of Elevate. Am I
Oh,
saying it
I love
right?
Elevating. Yeah, I love them.
It's
Yeah,
been on my playlist. No, no,
nice.
no.
That's
Wait,
cool.
Stellar Darling.
Which
Well,
one?
the playlist has been intermixed. Cellar Darling
Ah,
too.
okay. Cool, cool.
And then surprisingly, I've been obsessed with Willow Smith's new album.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't heard it yet.
It's ridiculous. It's very proggy.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I'll definitely have to give it a listen.
Hmm.
So back in April, you guys released the first single, "Where Gods Fear to Speak," and this the track hits hard right out of the gate with a video that is beyond a perfect fit. Um, the song kind of getting into the fine line between like a divine pleasure and pain in the flesh sort of thing. It's perfectly captured in the video, along with your taking part in Shibari. What was that experience like?
It was really intense. Um, I'd been an admirer of it for a while, and I follow different pages on Instagram, and I always thought of it as a art form, almost like a meditative dance, so to speak. That when I first got the chance to try it, I was surprised just how intense it felt on your body. I
Yeah,
hadn't read quite as many accounts of like I'd I'd researched what it looked like, but not so much what it felt like. And so when I did like a trial run, I went to this meetup that they have here in Houston with the team that we worked with, and it was very serene and intense, but I didn't realize how painful it would actually be, like leaving bruises.
oh wow.
But it was good to do that test run, and then by the time the video came, because we wanted to up it a notch with a pretty advanced pose, and that was only my second time like doing shibari, and
Sure.
so it took our team was amazing, and then we got through it, but it definitely pushed the limits of anything physical like I've ever done like that.
Absolutely. And I can imagine it really elevated the presence of the song as well for you in that moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I really felt good that I was bringing to life, and I felt like I was very in tune with the song, I guess you could say.
For sure, for sure. That's cool. And then also, it's our first glimpse at your harsh growls. So I have to ask, where have they been hiding? Absolutely amazing. They sound incredible, like you've been doing it forever. Can you talk about the vocal differences and how that juxtaposition between your cleans and now your harsh vocals coming out? How did that deepen the track even more?
So I've always played around with the harsh vocals for a while. Anytime I've written both parts for harsh vocals and clean vocals like in the past. And when I do the demos, I would do the harsh vocals for the guys to do. And I guess I just never really felt I never really felt confident in, I was just doing them like in the moment to get them out, but I never really thought about technique, and I wasn't necessarily maybe doing the best technique. I was just doing them for demos. And so when this album came up, we had talked about potentially like me doing the growls. We had, a lineup change, and they
Yeah.
weren't necessarily, death metal vocalists. And so by default, like between me and Samir, then I had the most practice for actually doing them. And it's just another vocal technique that I have a big range of what I do anyway. It just was a matter of teaching the machine a new trick, so to speak.
Cool.
And
Cool.
so I got with um I got with Mary Zimmer, and then also later on Melissa Cross.
Oh, you did with Melissa. Cool. Nice.
And she helped me understand where that projection was coming from. And in reality, like the harsh vocals are a lot easier to do for me than belting. It sounds like so much, but it's a lot simpler of a vibration than the breath control and the pressure and what do you call it, compression of doing belting and clean vocals.
Sure. Sure.
And so now that I'm in a technique, it's like, of course you never want any pain, and they it's just a matter of modality of getting them to be really deep, which is so fun.
Nice.
Um
Nice.
and so yeah, it just a boost of confidence and putting it out there, and now I won't go back. I can't go
Yeah, for
back in the
sure.
bottle. Mhm.
For sure. So I wanted to talk a little bit also about where you recorded the album in Bogota, Colombia. First, how was your time there?
Oh, I lost you. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to ask about your time in Bogota, Colombia, where you recorded the album. First off, just generally, how was your time there?
It was amazing. I think it was really needed. It's one thing to, just go out of state to record an album, but to be able to go out of the country to somewhere that's so different from what we're used to, socially and culturally, to just
Sure.
be immersed in a place that's as intense as it is beautiful. It just really, I feel like, brought something out of each of us for our artistry, and then what it means to dive in and give effort to creating an album.
Absolutely. And do you feel that the landscapes as well as the culture there shape the sound of the album as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Between, the long days and getting up, we drive through town, we eat local food, we are there with local people. We had some amazing guest vocalists that were local, well, guest vocalists, guest percussionists that came and gave their artistry to the tracks. And
Yeah,
I mean, it's just complete immersion. Everybody kind of, I feel like, prides themselves off of being able to create out like music in their basements and in their closets. And while that's neat and all, there's an essence to being a musician or being any kind of artist that you have to cultivate and integrate yourself with society around you. And sometimes that means maybe people from a different land and a different place, but
yeah, yeah.
you can't escape the magic that happens when you are just somewhere so rich and you get to like feed yourself visually and like mentally and physically off of like just the essence of what a place like that has to give.
Absolutely. No, that's really great. It must have been a beautiful experience, being able to work with all of those people in that moment. And I think definitely it's the way it comes across on the album is exactly what you were just saying. It comes across in a way that you can tell it was like a fresh experience for everybody involved. And I think that that was really cool.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask about a couple of the songs. So I know you were talking about Fernando, obviously, on Prayer, I believe it is. And then I don't want to mispronounce his name, but the other vocalist, how do you say that?
Michael from Dark Tranquility.
Oh,
Fernando
okay.
is
So it is just Michael. I thought he pronounced it differently. Okay.
Fernando is on Run from the Light, and
Yep.
then Michael is on Prayer.
Michael's the one on Prayer. Cool. Nice. So I wanted to just ask about those. How was it working with both of them? Obviously, you performed uh, in person with Moonspell before, but so how was it just working with both of those artists?
It was really smooth. I mean, they're incredible professionals, and with a little bit of, direction, they gave back these amazing parts on the songs. It it's funny. Fernando he's such a dark wolf, and
Yeah, yeah,
he will be like, "Oh, it won't be good enough." Like, "Oh, why do you want me?" But then he sends over, his tracks, and you're like, "Of course you like this is amazing." Like, I'm so excited, and I love the duets on this album. They're some of my favorite, and I think that both men like brought such a wonderful dynamic in their unique style, like to each song. I
absolutely.
think Run
Yeah,
Run a Light is such a perfect combination of early Moonspell and Oceans of Slumber, and to
absolutely
have
it is. Yeah,
to
for
have
sure.
Fernando doing his cleans and growls, just what it's just you feel spoiled, what like you get the whole spread of his dynamic. And
Yeah,
then
for
with
sure.
Michael, he brings such a wonderful ominous dark quality to the songs, and it's so smooth, and then also his cleans and growls. And so I think it was really neat to have, and then I got to mix my growls with Michael's at the end, and it's just
Yeah, no,
more
that
than
was
I
cool.
ever would have
Yeah,
thought would have been included vocally. So it was really wonderful, and they were incredibly easy and smooth, and it was just very exciting to work with them.
that's awesome. That's really cool. Um, so I wanted to ask also about uh, some other songs. So Don't Come Back from Hell Empty-Handed, and I Will Break the Pride of Your Will. Don't Come Back from Hell Empty-Handed to me, just under 8.5 minutes, is like this like massive cinematic and lyrical masterpiece. For me, this track is about facing your own personal hell and then coming back from it stronger and wiser. Can you speak to the inspiration behind that track?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much hits the nail on the head that sh- that it's about struggling, whether it's your own personal hell or just a, an experience that you're going through. It's meant to it's meant to convey that like you should learn from it. Like you
Yeah,
don't just
yeah,
go through all this and it be for nothing. That sometimes the only thing you have to gain is a lesson, and you can't take the bad, for granted any more than the good.
yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think I don't want to mess up the lyrics too much, but there was a line where you said, I think it's like sometimes the answer is not always perfect, something along that.
I can hear it in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes the answer is in the silence, in the absence
Yeah,
of
that's the
sound.
one. Sometimes the answer's in the silence. Yeah.
Not
I thought
every
that that,
lesson that lifts and not every truth is profound. Sometimes the
right.
answer is in the silence.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I think that like perfectly encapsulates what you were just saying.
Yes. I mean, I agree. I think it's one of those, sometimes you learn a lesson from the lack of a teacher, kind of,
Yeah, yeah,
the outcome, the unhappy ending, lesson learned or moral of the story is kind of, I feel like, what those lines play on.
yeah, for sure. That's really cool. And then also, I Will Break the Pride of Your Will is another standout for me. Incredible riffing, grooves. The vocal melodies are incredible on that one. What was the inspiration for this also?
I think that's one of the songs Daughter wrote.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's cool. Um, and then also, so Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. Um, I had heard the song in the past. It was never like an absolute strong favorite of mine, but it was something I had known.
Hmm.
But for me, when a band takes a song and makes something completely their own, I love it so much more and like that much more. And that's exactly what you guys have done on this track. It's absolutely phenomenal and given me such a higher level of like love for that song. Have you always been a Chris Isaak fan, and had you always wanted to cover his work?
Yes. I mean, we go way back as fans. Job This song, like we kind of have like an ongoing long list of songs that we want to cover.
Nice.
And this one has been, floating around on it. It struck Dauber when we were in Colombia, when he heard this terrible like EDM version come on in the restaurant that we were at.
Yeah.
So out of his anger, he wanted to change the change the cover that we were doing last minute. But
Nice.
I mean, in all seriousness, it's a great haunting song, and we thought it fit really well to
Absolutely.
be a little bit like less upbeat but familiar for the ending track. Like we've laid it out, it's a soundtrack to a movie that we've tried to kind of create as the aesthetic for the album. And so this is supposed to represent kind of when the credits roll and that familiar cover comes on, but then it's a remake, and so
Cool.
I think
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
It plays into being such a sweet finishing touch.
For sure. Absolutely. So the artwork again, done by Jonas Malkus again, incredibly well done as usual. What was the process this time around with him? Was it kind of similar to the last one, or?
Giannis has worked with us enough that I feel like when we dive into like a new album and a new storyline for him, he picks up really well like what we're getting at.
Cool.
We just kind of gave him some creative outlines of we wanted this post-apocalyptic sort of landscape, something that gave these dune sort of colors and vibes, and he just went off with it and did a wonderful job as usual.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely Dune I picked up on for sure as soon as I first saw that come across. So that was pretty cool. Lastly, I just wanted to ask about, I know you guys have a really special show coming up this weekend actually in over at Studio G in Brooklyn. So that's going to be a great time for you guys. Anything special people can expect from that show?
That's actually next weekend. This weekend we're at Mad with Power.
Sorry, you're right. It's August 3rd. Yeah.
I know it seems so close. I've been getting it confused every time people ask me that.
Yeah.
We're at Mad with Power, so we're excited about that. I'm gonna play pinball. I heard that's gonna be there, and it'll be a big powerhouse set. And then the following weekend we'll be at Studio G, and that's gonna be just a complete, reimagining of our songs and just a very intimate, just magical experience. So we're really excited about that.
That's cool. And are there any plans for maybe touring with this album?
Nothing we're announcing yet, but we're just always working on stuff.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Cammie, thank you so much for your time today. Again, everyone, God's Fear to Speak is going to be out September 13th via Season of Mist. There will be a pre-order link right below the video. Cammie, thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.